It's mock. This one between the Vikings and the Rams. This is actually a really fun game we're playing here. Okay, Bill, take it away.
Yep, so the Rams are trading down here, getting a couple extra picks. They are getting a quarterback in McCarthy, who's going to be their developmental quarterback behind the MVP and Matthew Stafford. Vikings have pretty clearly moved on from McCarthy by signing Kyler Murray. He's not part of their future. This trade values him around a fourth-round pick level. That might seem a little high given how much he struggled early on last year. But remember, end of the year, 4-game stretch, passer rating over 100. We saw some positive strides. Admittedly, there were some bad defenses on the other side of that field, but we saw some progress from McCarthy. Sean McVay has a track record of turning quarterbacks around, improving them, going back to Jared Goff, of course, but Baker Mayfield. I do think that's a logical kind of step for them to make, and they still only move down a few picks and still get another third rounder to add to their mix. So I think a trade that can make sense for the Rams and the Vikings do move up ahead of the Bucs, ahead of the Jets. Probably teams looking at defensive back, they could get the safety of their choice. Maybe even if Caleb Downs drops, that could be a spot for him to land to the Minnesota Vikings.
Kevin, what do you think?
Bill, you are the fake trade guru, but even the greats have missteps. Michael Jordan missed shots. Wayne Gretzky missed the net. This is a complete miss. First of all, you mentioned the progress McCarthy made. I missed it. Sorry, I missed it somewhere. And I also think that Kevin O'Connell has some of the best plays in football. He improves quarterbacks. He's the quarterback whisperer just as much as anybody else in the league. So if he was going to thrive anywhere, it'd also be in Minnesota with, by the way, Justin Jefferson and that infrastructure that we saw Sam Darnold thrive in the year before. So I just don't think this is a good change of scenery. I don't think it's worth the pick swap, even throwing in the third-round pick. I just don't think it's that kind of value. If you're taking on McCarthy right now, it's not involving swapping first-round picks. It would be a mid or late-round pick at best. I also just don't think that he's ready to be an heir apparent somewhere. I don't think going into a system right now and learning all of that, I just don't think that's healthy for anybody. I think the best option here is for McCarthy to go back to Minnesota, compete with Kyler Murray, lose the quarterback competition, which he will, but then learn and give it another go next year. I don't think a trade is going to work because Kevin O'Connell can do anything Sean McVay can do at the quarterback position.
So I actually don't dislike this, setting aside the actual compensation and pick change. I like the idea of McCarthy going to the Rams, and I think it would lessen the pressure, obviously, on him to play immediately. You'd have incredible development in that system. He could no longer go by 9 because they got a 9 at quarterback already. It's a win-win in that regard. Where I get a little bit nervous, it's actually you're not really giving up a ton, right, because of the movement is small and the draft pick. But for the Rams, that's actually like a bit of a crucial change because I do think the Rams in the first round should be taking a wide receiver or even maybe a tight end. And if they were to drop to 18, suddenly you're picking behind Baltimore and the Jets, two teams that are probably going to take one of those players that I think they would add. So I do worry about that particular movement, Bill. But as far as the player, maybe elsewhere in the draft you would consider making a trade because I do think it makes sense.
I want to point out, Kevin Clark said that the best thing for McCarthy was to lose a quarterback competition.
Listen,
that's a new one for me.
There's no good options here right now after last year. I'm just trying to make life easy on him. He needs to sit for a full year somewhere, whether it's Minnesota, maybe the Rams, if the trade was just, as Mina said, was just less impactful. I think moving first-round picks right now for McCarthy, again, even though it's a swap, it's just not something I want to be involved in right now. So I think McCarthy just sit and learn.
Yeah.
Not everything deserves a reaction.
Guy who had the worst completion percentage in the NFL last season.
Yeah.
58%. Yeah, we can leave it. We would hope that he would reclaim his career as we have seen others do. We would hope that.
Kevin O'Connell's obsessed with the quarterback journey, and maybe this is part of the journey.
Okay, there you go. Still ahead after a rough second half of the season for Baker Mayfield and the mock, where he proposes trades for every single pick in the draft. So let's get into it, starting with a trade for Max Crosby. Poor Max, another destination.
Wow.
Bill, what do you have here?
Well, we're sending Max Crosby to the Philadelphia Eagles for the Eagles' first-round pick, a third-rounder next year, and Nolan Smith, who was so good for the Eagles in the playoff run to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Raiders, of course, add a young edge rusher to replace Crosby with some upside. They go out and get a first-round pick to address their roster. They were already about to trade Crosby to the Ravens for 2 first-round picks. That was kind of a reset, time to move on for a young team, for a player who's in his prime. And I mean, I don't have to explain this to Eagles fans. Adding Max Crosby, a superstar in the prime of his career, at a position Howie Roseman covets, feels like an obvious move to me from the Eagles side of things.
Boy, I sure feel sorry for Max from the Max side of things. But Mina, what do you think of this trade?
Oh, I mean, he would be in Philadelphia and potentially on a contender, so I don't know how sorry I'd feel for him in that regard. I would like this a lot for Las Vegas, starting there. I love getting pick 23 because I do think that they would have some shots at receivers there who could be very helpful to the young quarterback, Fernando Mendoza. I think it's a good value given everything that's transpired. And as far as Philadelphia goes, well, Hannah, frankly, it comes down to, do you believe the Baltimore Ravens, right?
Right.
If you don't, and you feel good about his health, then yeah, obviously, especially since you are in a win-now timeline, and if you think he can contribute this year, that's massive. But if you are skeptical, and based on the lack of news around the league, seems like some teams are, I would be apprehensive of doing a trade.
Yeah, Mina, I was going to say, I'm wondering about Bill's eval of the Philadelphia Eagles medical staff. Is he saying they're better or worse than the Ravens medical staff? Are the standards higher or lower? I don't know. But obviously this would be a home run. Putting Max Crosby in a vacuum in Philadelphia would be unbelievable. It's Howie's MO, to take big swings, zig when everybody's zagging, the whole deal. I just don't know if they're going to part with the first-round pick. That's the question to me. But I think that Max Crosby, demon against the run, culture guy, a guy who wants to play in big games, deserves to play on Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football and in playoff games and deep into January. This would be great for him. I just don't know. I mean, it just goes into, as Mina just said, it goes into what you think when you get in and look at those x-rays. Do you say, hey, and are you comfortable? If it says, hey, we're going to get 2 great years out of this guy, is Howie comfortable with that? It is a team-building question that is very serious, and I really do think it's one of the most fascinating things to watch over the next 2 weeks. Does anybody get back into the Max Crosby sweepstakes?
Absolutely fascinating, right? And what does it say about the Ravens if somebody gives them the green light and trades something significant? Bill, what do you think about what you've been hearing here?
Well, in addition to my primary job as a fake trade expert, my side job is doctor. And as a doctor of psychology for the Philadelphia Eagles, they need a culture change. Bringing in Max Crosby to that building, to that room where everybody was mad and angry and upset last year, I feel like is the logical place to go. It's a risk, no question, but it's the kind of risk Howie Roseman likes to take. I think by November, Max Crosby and Big Dom are going to be hosting a podcast together.
Oh, my gosh. I think I would pay to hear that. Okay. After an NFC Championship appearance, the Commanders regressed last year. 10 different receivers caught a pass. I think that should say health wanted instead of health wanted, but does he need more health? Okay, now keep in mind, Deebo Samuel, Austin Eckler, they are remaining free agents right now. Washington, looks like they're a little thin on playmakers. I mean, they did add Rachaad White from the Bucs, tight end Chig Okonkwo, but Terry McLaurin remains the only notable playmaker from a year ago, and Scary Terry only played 10 games last season. So, Bill, do they need to add some playmakers or focus elsewhere?
Yeah, I do believe they need to add another wide receiver. We saw them really slip last year on 3rd down and 4th down. They were 4th best in the NFL in Jayden Daniels' rookie season and converting on those downs. Last year when Jayden Daniels was on the field, they were 25th in conversion rate on 3rd and 4th down. And that could be a place they address in the draft, but there is a wide receiver out there, a former 49ers wide receiver, who interests me. And it's not Brandon Ayuk. It's Juwan Jennings, who might be the best free agent left on the market. And if there was anybody who played up on 3rd downs in tight windows when his team needed a conversion, it was Juwan Jennings. He's great after the catch. He's great at muscling through tackle attempts. He's a reliable target. And Terry McLaurin's going to be a special player, obviously, going to create plays that no one else can make on that offense. They like what Chig Okonkwo is going to bring. They're going to have a consistent run game because of what Jayden Daniels brings. But if they are going to run more play action, more under center stuff, I think that plays into Juwan Jennings and what he can do on those key downs.
I love Jennings. They need a receiver. I agree with Bill. And where they're picking is really interesting because Carnell Tate, who many people expect to be the first receiver selected, Ohio State also, right, like Terry McLaurin, I think would be a dream fit in this offense. He, to me, is a classic Z. You already have an X in Terry McLaurin, so they would pair well together. I think he can win downfield. He's got explosive playmaking ability that pairs well with Jayden Daniels.